All right, guys, what is going on? And welcome back to the channel. I got some really great news this morning for you guys regarding the sales of Nintendo Switch 2, software sales, and all of that. We just got some numbers right here from Famitsu. So this is for pretty much like the last day of, or one of the last days of December and the first week or so of January. And this is, of course, the hardware sales in Japan. Right now, look at this. Nintendo Switch 2 sold 313,838 consoles in just that 1 week in Japan. That is astronomical. Because the previous weeks, they've been selling 200,000. So they had like 2 weeks in a row where they sold just barely over 200,000. Actually, one of them was like 230,000. Then last week, before this, it was 200,000. And then they just skyrocketed all the way up to 313,000. Now, I don't know if these were... Can't really say these are holiday sales because this was like the last day, one of the last days of December and the first week of January. So, kind of makes me wonder what exactly happened here, because even the sales for the piece of shit digital edition of the PlayStation 5 was up pretty high. I mean, obviously it's not that high. It's only 36,000, which is not much at all. But for the Switch Lite, Switch OLED, Switch, I mean, they're pretty high up there. Switch Lite, 18,000. Switch OLED, 16,000. And the Switch, 10,000. PS5, only 6,000. Only 6,000 for the PS5. And then for the PS5 Pro, only 3,864. So this is like, if you actually compare the numbers with the PS5 versus the Switch, they both sold around the same amount. I believe it's like 46,000 consoles. But of course, the Switch 2 absolutely destroying the PlayStation 5 with 313,000. That is a lot. That is an insane amount of consoles. Now, the PS4 actually sold 25. Recently, it's been like 4 or 12 or something like that. And so it got a small little jump in sales there. Let's, here's for comparison's sake. Here are the hardware numbers from last week. Switch 2, the week before this, was 200,000. So 200,257 units were sold. Switch OLED, 14,000. Switch Lite, 11,000. Switch, 6,000. For the PS5 digital edition, it was like 13,000. For PS5, 3,000. For the PS5 Pro, 1,000. And 14 for the PS4. So now let's check the, let me get these stupid ads out the way. Let's check the software sales and see which games dominated. Now, it should be no surprise that it was all Nintendo. Nintendo, of course, has been dominating the top 10 in Japan, but they've actually been dominating the top 30 as well. Where it's like the top 30 or top 40 best-selling games in Japan are all on the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. You couldn't find a single one for the PlayStation 5. So I expect that to continue. We look at the top 10 here. Of course, Mario Kart World is at the top. You know, Mario Kart World, that game that people keep saying is dead and, you know, nobody's enjoying it and all this bullshit. Yeah, it sold 92,869 in just this week over there in Japan. And that brings it to a total of 2,700,000 sold total in Japan. This Momoteru Dentetsu game, the Dentetsu 2, this is like a very popular game in Japan. It's exclusive in Japan. And the Nintendo Switch version sold 61,000, while the Nintendo Switch 2 version sold 52,000. And the total for that game, just for the regular Nintendo Switch, is 294,000, whereas for the Nintendo Switch 2, 241,000. Pretty impressive that the Switch 2 version is not that far behind, considering it doesn't even have as big of an install base as the Nintendo Switch. So that kind of shows you that more and more gamers over there would rather have this game on the Switch too. And so Pretty impressive. At number 4, for the Nintendo Switch 2, Pokemon Legends ZA. So Pokemon Legends ZA is selling better for the Nintendo Switch 2 than it is for the Nintendo Switch. Again, Nintendo Switch, I think, has a total of, what, 30-something million in Japan? Let me see. Let's take a look here. Oh, they're not showing like their total lifetime sales. Okay, whatever. But I believe they have 37 million Nintendo Switch consoles in Japan, whereas the Switch 2 only has about over 2 million. And yet we're seeing, these games being purchased more for the Nintendo Switch 2 than the Nintendo Switch. So that's got to tell you a lot. That tells you that more people are invested in the Nintendo Switch 2, even though it's the much newer console. So Pokemon Legends ZA sold 52,000, and that brings its lifetime sales for the Nintendo Switch 2 only to 1 million. And for the Nintendo Switch, actually Nintendo Switch, it still has more when it comes to the total. So it's like 1.5 million for the Nintendo Switch for that game, for Pokemon Legends ZA. But for the Switch 2 edition, it's 1,056,000. So it's I'm wondering when the Switch 2 edition is going to catch up and actually beat it. It looks like it will pretty soon here. But at number 6, Nintendo Switch 2, you got Kirby Air Riders selling 47,712 copies. That brings its total lifetime sales in Japan to 472,000. And what's impressive about this is that's 12,000 more than Donkey Kong Bonanza in Japan. So Donkey Kong Bonanza's lifetime sales in Japan is 460,000. And this week, they're at number 7. They sold 24,000. So it's good to see Donkey Kong Bonanza still in the top 10. It's good to see that's pretty good that, they have a total of 460,000 sold in just Japan alone. I think that's good. Japan is a much smaller market than the US, so it's good to see them doing decently well. I wish they were doing much better, but I'm glad they're doing pretty good. And it's they just now got surpassed by Kirby Air Riders. It's to be expected for Kirby Air Riders to actually sell better than Donkey Kong Bonanza over there. Still really think Nintendo should bundle both of these games. A Donkey Kong Bonanza and a Kirby Air Riders bundle would make so much sense. And the Kirby Air Riders is starting to, it seems like it's been selling really well recently, because whenever I go online to play that game, even if I play Top Ride mode online, like I find matches very quick. Top Ride mode is the mode that lots of people will say is the least fun mode out of all modes. Yet people are playing it online. A ton of people are playing that online. A ton of people are playing the city trial online. And so you gotta realize, because people were being stupid and trying to say that the game was dead or wasn't selling well because there weren't that many people online for city trial. Again, this is stupid though, because here's the thing: there's so many different modes to play, right? There's Top Ride, there's the regular Air Ride, and there's city trial, and you can play all of those offline. You could play all of those offline, play it with just your friends alone in the paddocks or whatever. Then there's the road trip. Road trip is just an story adventure mode that is offline. It has no multiplayer whatsoever. It's just an adventure mode. And a lot of people argue that mode is more fun than city trial. So how many people are playing offline with this game versus those who are playing online? The fact that I'm finding so many people online tells me that this game is selling very well, because matches are filling up quick. Before, it would be like, okay, you would get 4 or 5 people who would join, and then the rest are probably bots. But that would be like during the day, where people are probably working. And then at night, it would be a little bit busier. But nowadays, like just randomly during the day, if I hop onto this game, a bunch of people are joining in and playing. We'll get full matches where there's not a single bot. All 16 people are actual players. And that's very impressive. And it's even more impressive that I could go onto Top Ride and it would immediately fill up. It would take like maybe 10 seconds, if even that, for people to just join immediately. And it's like, wow, I was only in the lobby for 10 seconds. I already got people joining my match here for Top Ride of all modes. Top Ride being, the supposedly boring mode. It's not boring. It's fun. It's just very fast, and it's a little bit more like claustrophobic, where you're all close to each other, and maps are smaller, races are shorter, whatever. But it's still a fun mode to play. And yet I'm finding so many people just, easily in Top Ride. I'm easily finding people in Top Ride. I hadn't played Air Ride much recently, but I'm sure it's the same thing because a lot of people play that more than they do Top Ride. So yeah, this game is definitely selling well. There's no way it's not. And here's the thing, again, I bet there's lots of people, maybe half of the people or more than half of the people who bought Kirby Air Riders probably are playing Road Trip, or they're playing these modes offline. I've had Super Smash Bros. For many years and never really bothered to play online. I only started doing that very recently. So you just never know. Like, there's games like this that are so fun, you don't really need to play them online in order to have fun. So I think Kirby Air Ride is selling very well. I can't wait to see the numbers for just the US alone. But yeah, Kirby Air Riders at number 6, Donkey Kong Bonanza at number 7. At number 8, we got Super Mario Party Jamboree, Switch 2 edition, Jamboree TV. That's only sold a total of 149,000. Not huge on Mario Party at all. And I'm glad that Kirby Air Riders is absolutely dominating it, because that's a way more fun party game. At number 9, we got Animal Crossing New Horizons. That game has sold 8,334,000 in Japan alone. Pretty wild that game has sold so much in just Japan alone. That's pretty crazy. And then we got Minecraft at number 10, 18,000. However, their total lifetime sales is 4 million. So I'm glad that Animal Crossing is doing better than Minecraft. I do not give a shit about Minecraft. So yeah, this is the Famitsu sales. This was on Nintendo Everything. Nintendo Everything is pretty much where I get a lot of these sales numbers and figures. They just report on the Famitsu sales and whatnot. So it's pretty cool. I also comment on there too. So if any of you guys ever want to leave comments on this website, go ahead and create an account and join it. So that's nintendoeverything.com. And, I've been leaving comments there lately and stuff like that, just adding things to the discussion. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see how dominant Nintendo Switch 2 was. I mean, 313,000. Again, the previous week was 200,000. So that's a huge jump right there, an extra 100,000. And while everything else looked like it kind of jumped up a little bit, nothing came even close to that big of a jump. Switch 2 selling an extra 100,000, whereas the PlayStation 5, they only sold an extra 20,000, I think, and that was it. That tells you a lot. That tells you everything you need to know right there. And hey, by the way, PS5 Digital Edition, and I think even the other PS5 consoles, don't forget they had that permanent price decrease. They had that big discount for Japan, right? Had a whole entire direct dedicated for Japan, trying to win over the Japanese gamers, and looks like it isn't working one bit. Not working one bit. So Nintendo's absolutely kicking PlayStation's ass over there, and they're doing it worldwide as well. So I can't wait to see the numbers, the total numbers and whatnot. But damn, 313,000 for the Switch 2. And then all the top 10 games, again, Nintendo Switch 2 games. Can't wait to see the top 30 when that releases, to see if Nintendo is still dominating the top 30. I bet they are. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think about all this. Leave your comments down below, and I will talk to you all later.